Anybody who's not a member of the Cabinet, you're welcome to observe, but obviously you can't ask questions or comment. Apologies for absence. Peter, all right? No? Okay, brilliant. Urgent business? No. Declarations of interest?
Chair, yeah, I've got a couple. I'm a board member of Positive Steps, so for those two items, I'll leave the room.
Thank you. So public question time. I've not received any notice of any public questions. Thank you. Minutes of the Cabinet meeting held on the 11th of December. Do Cabinet agree the minutes of the Cabinet meeting to be a true record? Agreed. Thank you. Do I have to move that? Agreed. Oh, they've agreed it. Yeah. Okay, then item 6 is my report, which is the LGA Corporate Pay Challenge. So, colleagues, you'll remember that in early November, the Local Government Association came to Oldham to carry out a corporate pay challenge, and that was basically to review us as an organisation, our plans, our strategies, our culture, our governance, and how we manage the budget. The report before Cabinet tonight provides feedback from that pay challenge and presents an action plan for the Council to act on its recommendations. So all councils are expected to have a pay challenge every 5 years, and we were keen not only to get some external assurance of our improvements, but to do so from some of the best, highest achieving elected members and officers from across the country. So we had a really strong team, including the Chief Executive of Barnsley Council, the leader of Hull City Council, and representatives from Telford and Rotherham. The pay team saw clear evidence of improvements since the last pay challenge, which we had in 2020, and very specifically, they referenced the last 2 years. They saw clear improvements in the clarity of our ambition, our priorities, particularly around improvements to our resident focus on our relationships with Greater Manchester and, most importantly, central government. They were impressed with the scale of ambition that we have for the borough and with the once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that our regeneration plans offer for local people. They also provided a small number of recommendations to speed up our improvements, including a more positive and proactive approach to building an even more positive reputation for the place and the organisation. So taking our work to embed a resident focus further and faster and bringing forward our budget timetable for the next year. So I'd personally like to place my thanks on record to Councillor Emma Hodinett and Sarah Norman as the lead peers and the rest of the LGA team for the piece of work, as well as thanking all the elected members across party and all the staff that took part, not least because the one message I was left with from the review team was that all the staff and all the council are really passionate about getting the best of Oldham, and that's something that we experience every day when we interact with our officers. So a huge thanks to them to just basically thank them for all the service they provide for our residents and how committed they are to improving the lives of those residents. The review team will be back later this year to monitor that progress, so that's really important, and I really welcome that too, because I think it's important to make sure that we're addressing the recommendations, and we hope to show even more improvements in that time. So I'm really looking forward to them come back. So do any members wish to speak on that report? Councillor Mushtaq, Councillor... Right, hang on 1 second. So Shahid, Mohan, Peter and Elaine. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. You've thanked a lot of people. The one person you haven't thanked is yourself. And I just want to highlight a conversation we had before the team came in. I'm talking about Cabinet. And Councillor Shah made clear to us that this wasn't an exercise in which we would be defensive or try and make out like we're doing a great job and hide where there may be potential areas of improvement or challenge. She said to be completely open because we needed to get the best out of this. And it was highlighted in the report about the leadership, but obviously Councillor Shah isn't going to talk about the comments in relation to her leadership, so I will. And that's really important because Councillor Shah has stressed to us the importance of this being a member-led council, but also a resident-focused council, because ultimately that's what we are here to do. So I just wanted to say thank you to yourself, and we will all hopefully adhere to that leadership style and do what's best for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think this is a report that we should welcome. I think it talks about some of the ambition of the council and some of our challenges. Our ambition in trying to be in attempting to be resident focused, it talks about that, and in creating a better place and the investment that we're doing in the town centre. So I think this is a welcome report. I mean, it sort of recognises the challenge that we're up against, the budget challenges, and everything that the council is trying to do so to mitigate and safeguard our residents. And also to note, I mean, in particular, it talks about the organisation and the place leadership. And the fact that we do have a strong leader and the chief executive in place, and I think that's sort of been something that's been recognised by the peer review team. And certainly I mean, I can say since being on the cabinet, I mean, I am seeing so a lot more focus in trying to sort of do the best we can for our residents, and the leader is always challenging to get the best out and for the benefit of our residents. So I think this is a welcome that the report has sort of highlighted all of that, and also given us a number of points for us to sort of go away and sort of to think about. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Morgan. Peter?
Thank you. I think it's a very encouraging report, this, and it does emphasise the strong leadership that you as leader have actually given to the council, which is, I think, a proper, correct recognition. As well, I think, that it emphasises our journey on residents first, and I really do feel that when they do come back, they'll see even further progress on how we're actually working with residents, listening to residents, and actually providing the services we can for residents. Albeit there are obviously one or two things that need picking up, but in general I think it's an extremely encouraging report, and it shows that we're on the right path to becoming an excellent council.
Thank you so much. Did you indicate or did you not? You did.
Thank you, Chair. So I guess I just want to echo the sentiments that have already been expressed. Obviously, the corporate pay challenge process is extremely important, and it is important that obviously the council endeavours to achieve best practice. But I think if we put it in layman's terms, I think it's also fair to say it's been a pretty tough gig, and I think the findings are, representative of the hard work that's been put in, both at senior leadership level, but I think actually as an administration it shows that we are committed to putting our residents first, and we do want to see a strong member-led council and to make sure that our political priorities deliver for the residents of our town. So obviously thank you for all of the hard work from all of our staff that went into that, but also to yourself as leader and chief executive, leading by example. Thank you.
Councillor Brown.
Thank you. I'd just like very briefly to say it's really nice to see that the residents they spoke to had a really positive and constructive. That's a nice counter to some of the very negative publicity we get as a council. And I think stressing our very strong relationships with the youth council is also something that we're justifiably proud of. So I just think it's a really nice reassurance to us that what we're doing and the way we're rebranding our approach to residents is landing with those residents, and I think that's really encouraging and something we can build on going forward. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more, Councillor Brownridge. I think, I have to say before I continue though, one of my characteristics is that I'm very humble. So I read all the report, but I didn't see the comment about my own leadership. But thank you for raising that today. But no, in all seriousness, I think it's really important to acknowledge. I know that when they were first coming, it did feel a bit daunting and a bit but I think it's really important to always continuously, and effective leadership is when you hold the mirror up to yourself all the time. And I think I was really, really pleasantly, it was just really nice, I think, to see the fact that they recognise that it is a resident-focused council, and that's what we aspire to be, and that we put them at the heart of everything that we do. And I think the budget challenge is significant. We've never, ever shied away from that or denied that, but I think the fact that they recognise actually that our residents are at the heart of all them decisions that we are going to have to make, unfortunately, due to governments slashing off funding year on year on year, is really important, and I really welcomed that they recognised that too. But actually, it's really important to make sure that we do take that seriously and balance the books, but also lay the foundations of a really prosperous future for Oldham. So thank you for all your comments, but also thank yourselves, because we are a team. So all the staff cohort that's sat in the back there, and all the staff that work for us, and most importantly, Harry, to you, you've been a blessing to Oldham, and I think like the way in that you work and the way that you drive the culture and the organisation, I think we're really lucky to have you, and I appreciate that that experience isn't always there in the sector anymore, but thank you for bringing that to Oldham and working with us to make sure that we deliver the best service for our residents, and let us continue to do more justice to that as time goes on. So thank you so much. So the item 7 on the report is council tax base and non-domestic rates tax base forecast 24-25. So Councillor Jabbar.
Thank you, Chair. This report highlights the council tax base for next financial year, together with the forecast for non-domestic rates. You'll see from the report, Chair, that we're suggesting that next year the council tax base will be 59,830, which is an increase of 880, which is really good news. It means that a lot of our housing development are actually coming online, and they've been occupied, and people who are occupying those properties are actually giving us council tax. So it's really good news. In terms of the business rates, the report suggests that there will be a contribution of 51.644 million to the budget. Of course, those two numbers actually are integral in terms of setting our budget for next year's. So we actually use that to set the budget and the medium-term financial strategy. In terms of the recommendation, Chair, so we're asking for you to approve three things. The recommendations are on page 2 and page 3. So on top of the two numbers I've given you, we're also asking you to give delegation to myself and the Finance Director to finalise the business rate return to government. It's a statutory return that we have to do. The final information isn't quite complete, but it will be soon, and when it is done, we were required to send this form to government to tell them the number of commercial properties that we have. So we're asking for that. Thank you. Obviously happy to take any, I realise quite a technical report, but happy to take any question, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Does any member have questions or comments to make on the report? No? Do members agree with the recommendations set out in the report? Agreed. Thank you. Item 8, Councillor Brownridge, is digital switchovers impact on the helpline and response service?
Thank you, Chair. So, as everybody knows, the telephone system's being replaced by a fibre optic, which is causing a nightmare. For people who've got old-fashioned landlines, it's causing a nightmare. It's even worse for people who have a helpline, because whilst you can plug your landline into your router and that sorts it out, that does not work for the alarm system. It's also exacerbated by the fact that the telephone line providers or the digital providers don't necessarily know who's on the list, because not everybody goes through the council. Some people sign up for the helpline privately. And we had a recent very unfortunate accident where somebody couldn't call for help because their line had been disconnected when the new line was being installed. Entirely accidental, nobody to blame, but it just highlights the fact that this is very serious. So we could go around identifying everybody and sorting out each person individually. We think the much better solution is to actually digitise all the helplines straight away. That will buy us a future, and also because the demand for this service is likely to increase going forward. So it does involve a capital investment, but it's something that I would strongly recommend and say we can't really afford not to do. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Brownridge. I think that makes sense. Does any member have any questions or comments to make on that report? No? Do members agree with the recommendations of that report? Brilliant, thank you. So item 9 then is the report requesting contract extension for care at home and extra care flexible purchasing system and seeking authority to enter into procurement exercises in relation to specific activity related to the at home service. Again, Councillor Brownridge, over to you.
How that rolled off the tongue, that report title. So basically this is a statutory service, obviously, so it's coming to the end of its life in March. We have written into the contract the ability to extend it into 1 year tranches, so that seems fairly straightforward. The other side to it is the small-scale procurement exercise we're recommending. One of the concerns is, as we all know, this market is very, very fragile. And what's happened, there's been a lot of takeovers, so where we had a high number of individual providers, a lot of those have been taken over by bigger providers, so the overall numbers has decreased, which makes the sector much more vulnerable. So what we're proposing is two procurement exercises, both to address that, to try and bring more people in, so we widened our supply base. So that's what we're asking for. The extension is straightforward and has to be done, really. And as in with the terms of the contract, the other two are just to get coverage for care at home and the discharge from hospital service. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brownridge. Does any member have any questions or comments on that report? Okay, do we agree with the recommendations in the report? Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Brownridge. So item 10 is awarding of occupational health contract following the re-tender exercise. So Councillor Jabbar.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So this report seeks approval of the Council's re-contracting of the occupational health and associated services from 1st of April 2024 for a 4-year period as part of the Greater Manchester Human Resources Collaboration. So this is a group of local authorities within the Northwest working together, Chair, for the key workforce programs and contracts. So basically what we're saying is that we want to continue with that. The recommendation is on page 75, option 3. We want to continue with the Greater Manchester Collaboration and award initially a 2-year contract to them with the possibility of extending it for a further 2 years. It's quite a straightforward report, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Jabbar. Any member wishing to speak on the report? Do members agree with the recommendation of the report? Agreed. Thank you so much. So item 11 is targeted youth support commissioning and delivery intentions, including UK SPF from April 2024. So this is Councillor Mushtaq's report, but as he's declared an interest and left the room, Councillor Taylor will be speaking to it.
Thank you, Chair. So, yes, the reason this report is coming forward is in relation to the targeted youth support contract, which is currently provided by Positive Steps, and it's due to end on the 31st of March. The recommendation is that we approve to extend the contract for a period of 12 months from the 1st of April 2024 up until the 31st of March 2025. Just for clarity, the statutory services within the scope will be the targeted impartial information, advice and guidance, young careers and return home from missing interviews. In addition, the extension would include the UK Shared Prosperity Fund contract up until the 31st of March 2025, currently also delivered by the same provider and funded externally to the Council. So, as I say, the recommendation is to extend the contract.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Does any member wish to speak on that report? Do we agree with the recommendations of the report? Agreed. Thank you so much. Again, item 12, so that's the Youth Justice Service extension to contract from the 1st of April 2024. So like the previous item, this is Councillor Mushtaq's report, but Councillor Taylor will speak to it.
Thank you, Chair. So the current Youth Justice Service contract again ends on the 31st of March 2024. The contract again is held by Positive Steps and approval is being sought to extend the current arrangements for a period of 12 months from the 1st of April 24 to the 31st of March 25, and this will enable Oldham Council and its partners to continue to fulfil their statutory duties and meet the requirements of the Youth Justice Board.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Does any member wish to speak on the report? Do you agree with the recommendations of the report? Brilliant. Okay. Thank you, Councillor Taylor. So Cabinet will consider the recommendations of the report at item 18. So item 13 is exclusion of the press and public. Moved? Agreed. Right. Thank you so much.